Core data helps you manage and store data in your iOS apps, but it can be hard to implement. Well, not anymore. Alex here from Rebeloper.com, and today I will teach you how to use core data in SwiftUI. So if you are interested, hit that subscribe button and open up Xcode, and let's dive into learning core data in SwiftUI. So let's learn how to use core data in SwiftUI. We are going to start off from scratch, so we are going to create a brand new Xcode project. But before I dive into this, let me just remind you about rebeloper.com/mentoring. 60 minutes of one-on-one Zoom call with me. If you have a bug or you want to learn SwiftUI or even UIKit, go ahead and check it out, rebeloper.com/mentoring, where you will be able to meet me on a 1 hour, 60 minutes Zoom call. We are going to start off with a brand new Xcode project, and I'm going to go ahead and create one. Let me just resize this so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. And let's select iOS and app. Let's click on next here. And I will name this. And you can just check this use core data, but I will not. I will start off from scratch, building out all the core data related stuff. So maybe if you are having an existing SwiftUI project, you can use this tutorial. Okay, make sure that you have SwiftUI as the interface and SwiftUI app life cycle. Let's click on next. And let's just add it right over here under videos. There we go. And let's create a new folder. I'll just name this code. And finally, let's create it right over here. Okay, so yeah, I want to use canvas, so I'm just going to remove that. First things first, we want to create a core data stack. And I'm just going to name this a stash. So what you want to do is just go ahead and right click on here. Let's create a new file. And let's just scroll all the way down, and you will see that we have a core data model right over here. Let's click on next, and let's name this stash. You could just name it whatever you'd like. I'm usually calling it stash because I'm stashing away all that data. Okay, let's create that. And there we go. We have our data model right over there. Let's move this right into that SwiftUI core data group. And I'm going to create two entities. One is for the item and the other one is for categories, because we are going to link them together. So let's tap on this plus button. Let's name this entity item. Okay. And this item should have one attribute, and that is name. And it should be a string value. Okay, let's create the second one, and let that entity be named category. Okay, and that category will have also a name. Now you will be able to add in here much more. For the sake of this simple tutorial, this is enough. Now, I want to have relationships between them, so items may be associated to categories, and also categories may have a lot of items. So what you want to do here is go, let me just have here much more space. So just go under relationships, you will have a plus button right over here, and we are inside the category, so I will name this relationship to item. Okay, and destination is item, and let's just go into item, do the same thing. Now I will name this to category, and this is destination is category, and set this the inverse to item. And let's just go right over here. As you can see, the inverse has already been added. Really nice. So this is our default data model. What we are going to do next is just create a persistence controller that we are going to use throughout the app. It will be having a shared property, so you will be able to access it throughout your app. So let's create that. Let's just go right over here. Let's create a new file. It will be a Swift file, and let's name this persistence controller. Okay, so first things first, we want to import core data here. Right, and this will be a struct. Let's have this copied out and paste it in as the name. And First of all, let's create a shared static let here so we can use it as a singleton. So static let shared equals persistence. Let's hit Command B so we have that auto completion persistence controller, and that's it. Okay, so what we want to have here first is actually a container. So let's see, let's hit Command B so I get rid of that error. Okay, build has succeeded, really nice. Let's create our container. And as persistence, ns persistence container. There we go. So we got our container. What we want to do is just initialize it on when we are creating our persistence controller. So let's create an init right over here. We won't have any parameters, but we're just going to use container equals ns persistence container with a name, and go ahead and add in the name that you created for your core data model. Mine is stash. Okay. Once you have that initialized, the container, you want to load the persistence stores. So container dot load persistence stores with the completion. We might get back a description, but we don't really care about that, or an error. Now, if there is any error, we just simply want to crash the app. You don't want to use the app if the persistence stores weren't loaded. So if let error equals error, then we just go fatal error with a message, and let's go call it like error. And let's add in here our errors localized description. Okay, and that's it for our initializer. Now we have our persistence container created and loaded the persistence stores. Now, what we want to do in this persistence controller to be accessible, we want to have a save and a delete function. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start off with the save. So func save, and on the save, yes, we might encounter an error, but we might not worry about it. But let's just create a completion here with the default completion. So completion. So yeah, with the default completion, because we might not want to use it. At escaping. And we might complete, let me just add in here the full completion. And this is kind of the default value. Let's just add that in there. So this is our default value. And we are going to get back an optional error. So we will get back an error if, yeah, I think we are missing some things. Let's see. Escaping, yes, I just added that colon, and it doesn't have to be there. Okay, so we will be completing with an error if we find any errors, or we are going to complete with nil if everything worked okay. So let's grab our context equals container dot managed view context. Yes, it's view context, and if context has changes. So if this context has changes that weren't already saved, so with this if statement, we are kind of ruling out that we are saving over and over again, even if we don't have any changes. Then we are going to go and try to save our context with a do catch statement. We are going to go try context.save. Okay, as you saw, it will throw an error. And on the catch, we are going to complete, so completion and the error. Okay, if everything went okay, we just go and complete with nil, as I already told you. Okay, this is fine. So now we have our save. Let's create our delete function. So func delete. So we will use these later on in our project throughout. So we are going to delete an object, and that will be an NS managed object. There we go. And we are also going to complete like we did with the save. So let me just copy that out and paste it in there. Okay, so how do we do that? We just grab our context, and that is from the container.view context, and we just go context delete our item, our object, basically object. Okay, so once we delete on the object, on the context, we still have to save our object view context. So we just go save and use the one with the completion, and just go completion, because the delete completion is the same as the save completion. Okay, really nice. So now we have this kind of helper file, persistence controller. Let's add it to our project. So first of all, we want to add this into our view hierarchy, and we are going to start off on the SwiftUI core data app file. So right over here, we are going to create our persistence controller right over here. So let's just have this as in a new line. Let persistence controller equals persistence controller dot shared. Okay, so now that we have that, we want to add it as the managed object environment. Now, I don't know if you have learned or heard about environments. If you add an environment into your content views or any of the views, basically, you will be able to access it throughout all of your other views. So let's just go and grab environment. Now the key path will be /dot managed object context, and this will be our persistence controller. So this is just a controller, so we want to grab its container and the view context. Okay, so that's our managed object context injected as an environment into the content view. Okay, this is great. So we are going to save and delete stuff, but it's a good practice to save the managed object context when the app goes into background. So how do we do that? Usually we went into the scene delegate, and there we had when we went into the background, so that delegate method. Now with this new SwiftUI app structure, we are going to get the scene phase, and there we're just going to save our context in the background. So let me just do this. First of all, we want to grab the scene phase environment. So at environment and /dot scene phase. Okay, and that will be a variable called scene phase. Okay, so now that we got our scene phase, we want to listen to it. And we are going to listen to it on an on change of scene phase. So dot on change of scene phase. There we go. And make sure that this is on the window group. We are going to perform equatable is the new scene phase. Okay, phase. And let's just switch through all of those. So switch new scene phase. And let's just wait, Xcode complain, and add the values right over there. And as you can see, we have background, inactive, active, and we are going to go and just print out some stuff for now. Okay, let's just go with all of these, and scene is inactive, scene is active, and on the default, well, that's just the future proofing this switch statement. We want to add, well, actually we want to save on the background. So we just go and select our persistence controller and go ahead and save. I'm just going to use the one without a completion. I don't really care. I'm just going to save right over here. Okay, so that is one really important part. So you save your persistence container on the background when the app goes into background. Okay, so now it's time to take a look at the content view. So on the content view, we are going to create kind of two buttons because we are going to create a new item or create a category, and we are going to list those items in actually a list. So let's start by creating our views right over here. So first thing we are going to do is just create a VStack. And inside that VStack, we are going to add in a button. So let's see, button right over here. Okay, let's just use the one with the action and label. And on the text, let's just add category. Okay, let's do the same for our item. So let's just add it right below it, add item. Okay, so whenever we are going to tap on add item, we want to check if there are any categories. So for that, we are going to add in here an alert. So let's see. Yeah, let's just go ahead and leave this as R. Let's just worry about the list for now. For the list, will be right over here, and a list I'm going to use a for each view. But for the for each view, I do need the items. So let's scroll all the way up and let's create a fetch request for those items right over here. We do need a fetch request, but the fetch request will also need the manage object context. So let's just import that environment at environment and the backward slash managed object context. There we go. That will be a variable called again managed object context. Okay, so that's our managed object context. Next, we are going to create that fetch request. So we are actually going to use again a property wrapper for those items, and let's just go ahead and type out at fetch request. There we go. And if you go open up parentheses, we'll see that we have a few variables here with an entity, sort descriptor, predicate, animation. I'm just going to use the one with the sort descriptors and predicate. I don't really care about the animation. Let's see if we have. No, we don't have. Yeah, so let's just use this one. Animation, as you can see. So predicate and animation could be optionals. I'm just going to omit animation. Okay, so the entity, what is the actual entity? Well, we are going to fetch some items. That is important that you created that object on your core data model. So item.entity. Okay, that's our entity. What are the sort descriptors? Well, how should core data give us back this array of items? And I think we should just go ahead and order them by name. So here you can have an array of sort descriptors. You could just have more sort them by name or caption or subtitle or whatever you'd like. I'm just going to add in here one. So this will be an NS sort descriptor. There we go. And that sort descriptor should have a key path, and let's just go with ascending. So the key path will be /item dot name. So we are interested in the name, and ascending, let's set this to true. Okay, now for the predicate, yeah, the predicate is actually, we don't really need a predicate right over here, but I'm going to type it out for you. So let's create an NS predicate, and let's have one with the format and arguments. Okay, so the format should be like, let's just search for the name, and that will be equals to and percentage and add. So that means that the name should be equal to the argument that we are adding it here. So it should be equals to something. Let's just see. We are going to save some clothes, and the item will be a shirt. So let's just go ahead and add shirt. So only the shirts will appear. I do understand that this is not kind of what we actually want to do right here, but you know how to use our predicates, and I think we need to not have these arguments right over here. Yes. Animation, we can just safely remove that. Go ahead and check it out. Just add an animation how these entities will be presented. And finally, we want to get var items, and this will be a fetched result of type items. So fetch result of item. Okay, so this was quite long, but yeah, you added the entity. Let's just add that right over here, the source descriptors, the predicate, and then you just named it as items. Maybe let's just move all of these down here, and this one right over here. Okay, what you want to do is just select all of them and hit Control-I, so it gets this nice indentation. Okay, so we got our items. Let's just add them into our list, because yeah, that is what we actually wanted. Now we are going to use a for each view, and we are going to go through all of the items. Okay, the ID will be self, so all of them will be identical. And right over here, we are going to add item in. So we are going to get back an item. Okay, so now that we got our item, we just need to just make them visible. I'm just going to use a text, and I'm going to set out the item names. Now, if the item name doesn't exist, then I'm going to print out unknown. So let's just interpolate that item dot name. If this doesn't exist, let's just go with unknown. Yes, we do. Yes, I think I have. Yes, I want to add that right over here. Correct. Okay. Unknown, and yeah, basically that is it. Let's see. So this is how we add our items. So let's tap on the button, and let's add one of our items. So let's create on the button. Well, first of all, I think that we should actually create a category first, so we can tie it to the item. Okay, so again, let's create a fetch request right over there on the categories. So let me just copy this out and have this as categories. Category. Okay, now category will be our key path. And then the predicate, well, I don't think we do need a predicate right over here. I'm just going to remove this. And let's name these categories. Okay, so now we have access to all of those categories. Okay, so now let's just see if there are any categories. If there are categories, then we are going to go ahead and present an action sheet that will be where we'll be able to select the categories that we already have in there. Okay, so if categories.count equals 0, then we are going to show an alert, as we are going to show an action sheet. So let's just create those state variables so we can use them when creating the alert and the action sheet. And let's just add them right over here. So private state and is action sheet presented. False by default. And again, a new straight private variable is alert presented. That will be false. Okay, so what we want to do is if the categories count equals to 0, we want to present our alert. So is alert presented dot toggle, and otherwise is action sheet presented. We are going to toggle that. So let's add in those two. Let's start off with the action sheet. I'm going to add them right on this button. So dot action sheet is presented, and dollar is action sheet presented for the binding. And the content, well, the content will actually be an action sheet, but we do want to have, I think I needed to add a dot here. What we do want to add all of the buttons. So let's create the buttons first, and then we are going to add them to the action sheet and return the action sheet right over here. Okay, so I believe I didn't have that auto-completed correctly, so let me just do that again. So action sheet is presented, dollar is action sheet presented. Okay, so everything seems to be okay. So first of all, let's create an array of buttons, because there might be a lot more than one categories. So that will be an action sheet. There we go, action sheet dot button. And let it be an empty array. Okay, so we go through all of the categories. So categories for each. And we are getting our category right over here. So for all of those, we want to create a button. And that will be actually an action sheet, action sheet button dot button. And let's just go with the default, because there might be more. You can't have more console buttons, so that's why I'm choosing this. And I'm going to go with the default label and action. The label will be our category's name. So let's create a text right over here. And category dot name. Okay, that should fix itself. And if that doesn't exist, it should go unknown. Okay, and what about the action? Well, this is where we want to go ahead and create an item for that category. Before we do that, let me just add a new console button here. So buttons dot append console dot console. Okay, and finally, let's just return an action sheet, so we don't have that error already in there. So action sheet, and we are going to use the one with the title and buttons. So the title will be again a new text. Okay, please select the category. Message could be nil, so I'm going to go with nil. And buttons, there we go. So now we won't have any errors. So this is whenever we tapped on the item. What's going on here? Action sheet, title, buttons. Oh, I added the return inside the completion, so that is not what we want. We want to add it right over here. Also, the appending of the console button right over here. Okay, so what we want to do here is create a new item. So let item equals, and item with a context, and that context will be our managed context that we just created. And we can just set the item dot name. Let's just have it as shirt for now. Yeah, you can just go ahead and move this forward, so you can add multiple types of items, but currently it's just going to create one shirt. And then we are going to tie this to this category. So item to category equals category. So this is how we kind of link them together. Also, now that we have the name and the two categories set, we can just simply save. So persistence controller dot shared and just go with save. I'm not going to take care of, I don't worry about the completion. I'm just going to go with save. Okay, so after we got our button, we just want to go and append that. So buttons dot append the button right over there. Nice. So finally, what we want to do is, as you can see, if the categories, so there are no categories, we want to present an alert. So let's do that. Let's create an alert right over here with the is presented. We just bind it to is alert presented. And the content will be an alert. There we go, alert with the title. Yes, title, message and dismiss button. Well, I'm not going to care about the dismiss, about the message. Let's just go with the title, and that will be a text. And let's just go, please add a category. Okay, and message nil, and the dismiss button, let's just go with dot cancel button with a label of okay. So text. Okay. So yeah, so now that we have all the categories also set up, we might want to add the categories right over here. So let's just create the item dot to category. There we go. Dot name. Okay. Oh, sorry, name. And that to category is an optional, so let's just have that right over there. And if this doesn't exist, then again, let's just go with unknown. Okay, yes, so now we can just simply build and run. Let's select one of our iPhone 12 simulators. Let's build and run. And now we will be able to add a new category and add a category onto an item onto that category. And after that, we are finally going to learn how to delete. That is really, really straightforward. So if I tap on add item, you will see that it says, please add a category. Okay, let's add a category. So yeah, it just saved that under the hood. And now we can just tap on add item. Well, it doesn't seem to save it. Yes, we didn't save it actually. So let's go all the way up right over here when we are adding a category. And yeah, let's create a category. It will be the same, kind of the same as we did with the items. So let category equals category. There we go. And let's grab our context, managed object context. And let's add a name for our category. Name, let's go with clothes. Okay, and then persistence controller dot shared dot save. Okay, and that should be it for our category. Okay, let's build and run and see how this looks like. Okay, so let's tap on add item. Okay, please add a category. Let's add a category. That should have saved that because we did add the code actually. And now let's add item. You can see that it fetched the clothes. Let's select clothes. And there we go. We have a shirt under the clothes. Okay, so we should be able to delete this. So how do we do this? Well, we want to add a delete function on the list itself. So let me just scroll all the way down. And on the for each, we could just add an on delete. But let me just create our function first for it. So func remove item. And we want to remove an item at an offset at offsets, and that will be our index set. Okay, deleting is pretty straightforward. First of all, we want to know that we want to loop through all of the indexes on that offset. So for index in offsets, let's grab our item equal items at that index. There we go. And then we just go persistence controller dot shared dot delete that object, and the object will be our item. Items and categories are NS managed objects. Okay, so what we want to go is just go on delete, and don't you autocomplete here because it will just add the perform. What we want to do is just type out perform, and there we go. So that is it. So remove item at offsets, and let's just hit Command R, and we should be able to swipe. There we go. And if we just hit delete, it will remove that item. Really, really nice. Let's add an item again. Clothes. There we go. And we can just swipe all the way out and it will delete it. So that is it for core data in SwiftUI. Now you know how to save and delete and set up your core data model and use all of those with a fetch request. So you can fetch all of your entities, items, or categories. And you can also add sort descriptors, predicates. Now, if you are interested in setting up a fetch request limit, then you want to not use the built-in fetch request. You want to create just a simple fetch request, and then on the initializer you want to add to that request a fetch limit. Okay, that's it for core data and SwiftUI. Now, if you did enjoy this teaching style, go ahead and check out Dev Factory, and that is a 60 minutes one-on-one Zoom call with me. If you have any bugs in your code, or if you do want to learn SwiftUI, go ahead and check out rebeloper.com/mentoring, where I will teach you, whatever you want. Bug fixes, SwiftUI, I'm here for you. As of SwiftUI, you can implement core data relatively simple, as you already saw. So I hope you will do so in your next project. Now, if you did like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And while you are at it, make sure to hit that notification bell to get notified of new videos as they do come out. For example, take a look at these videos. I talk a lot about SwiftUI, Swift in general, and as usual, I will see you in the next one.